Of course, we're at the pointy end of a week of great netball. The competition began last Sunday with the teams divided into two pools of four. The top sides were seeded in the same group initially. They played some stirring matches in the first 3 days. Let's take a look at some of them.
The key match on day one brought together South Australia, who haven't won the Open title since 1983, and New South Wales, who had their 8-year dominance of the tournament broken by Victoria last year. There were some unfamiliar combinations at work, but Jackie Delaney with South Australian skipper Jenny Borlays made a smooth start in goals. Indeed, from their defence end right through, they looked a cohesive outfit from the opening whistle. Ordine Cobb at wing attack, continuing to blossom as a great link and feed player, and Borlays keen to capitalise on the early chances. The Blues are without stalwarts Keely Devry, Sharon Finnan and Katrina Wagg, but the old firm of Kenny, Dalwood and Cusack still present a formidable line. Up by 3 at quarter time, SA squeezed some errors out of New South Wales and made them pay.
And that's confidence to take the layup. Most shooters would think twice about that.
There was little regard for personal welfare at times. Joe Morgan introduced to the post by Kath Harvey. South Australia continued to build the margin, getting great value out of Rebecca Sanders, Cobb and Delaney, and by half-time they led by 7, a margin which wouldn't guarantee victory, but was certainly handy. New South Wales made 2 changes at the break, with Mary Ann McCormick coming on at wing defence and Catherine Cox replacing Morgan as shooter with instant effect. A late charge in the third quarter by the Blues all but wiped out South Australia's first half effort, setting it up for a great last quarter.
Trying to reduce the margin, just the 2 now as New South Wales.
A brilliant start to the final term saw the Blues up by 5 at one stage. But South Australia clawed back to level at 55 all in the last minute and could and perhaps should have won it.
Borlays goes to the post. She misses again. And still the timer stays still.
Oh, well,
Cox goes up. Time is up now, but Cox with the ball puts it through. New South Wales by 1. And that's time, full time. New South Wales steal the win. 56-55 over South Australia. And what a start for the former champions. These two teams.
And so it must have been with some confidence that New South Wales lined up against defending champions Victoria on day 2. Indeed, Cox and Cusack made the required start, jumping out to an early if narrow lead.
And she's 2 from 2.
But it was also evident that scoring wouldn't remain easy, with that great defensive duo of Janine Lynch and Liz Taverner keen to starve the goalers and gobble the rebounds. And their attack end was also soon doing the business, with Australian under-21 player Sue Howie a driving force at wing attack, setting up Danny Arnott and Eloise Southby in goals.
Southby now's 1 for Victoria, brings them within 1.
New South Wales weren't able to hold their early 2-goal margin. Despite solid lead-up work, they began to find Lynch and Taverner an impenetrable wall. Simone McInnes began to haul in her usual quota of intercepts to set the Vics going forward, and their 14-11 quarter-time lead was soon building to something more intimidating.
Arnott timed well to Southby. New South Wales left standing flat, watching.
A 14-goal difference by half-time forced some changes to the New South Wales lineup. Cox coming out to goal attack. But it was never a match Victoria were going to let slip, especially after they were allowed to score the opening goal of the last quarter unopposed, New South Wales late taking the court.
Southby with a shot, how embarrassing if you'd missed that one. What a match.
The defending champs won it, easing down 50-42.
Victoria would be equally tied, but far more elated.
Day 3 brought us a replay of last year's grand final between Victoria and South Australia, and this match more than lived up to expectations. The Vics made a stunning start. Jocelyn Bryant replacing Arnott in goals, and they found themselves up by 8 inside 10 minutes. Captain Simone McInnes gave them a scare when she took a rare heavy fall late in the first quarter, but fortunately was able to continue.
Yeah, the left knee and hip, I'm sure, got a little bit of a workout as well.
Perhaps it stalled their momentum because South Australia began to peg them back to trail by just 4 at the first break. They kept chipping away in the second, working patient build-ups, and they'd reduced the margin to 1 by half-time. It was tight from then on, with the lead changing many times through the third and fourth quarters. Jackie Delaney, showing she had the required temperament.
Steadies, fires it, magnificent shot from the young shooter. May well be
With the scores locked together, Southby gold inside the last minute to put Victoria ahead.
And yes, Victoria hit the front. South Australia will
But with only seconds left, the ball found Borlase in the circle. She was given the penalty, and it was a 46-all draw.
Jenny Borlase, can she do it? And they'll both be out. Too much from Taverner. It's a practice shot. They're level. Crucial time
into extra time, and goal for goal they went. South Australia proved the steadier. 3 goals in the last 90 seconds made the difference.
They're steady. It's Borlase. This is for a match winner. She drops it through, and it's SA. SA wins 61-60. Victoria's unbeaten run has been stopped.
Well, All Australia Netball has wisely, I think, reduced the length of the tournament from 9 days to 7, but nevertheless, after a week, there are some pretty tired bodies out there. Victoria and Queensland finished 1 and 4, respectively. They played the first of the semi-finals last night. Let's have a look at that. And Victoria begin the match in possession. Shelley O'Donnell at centre, and last Sunday 53-45 they beat Queensland, but they really didn't have their best lineup out, Anne, and they would be hoping, expecting to put a bigger margin between themselves and Queensland today.
I think it very much made Victoria look like they were off the pace and settling into the championships, but in Queensland's defence, they've come out every match, particularly across the first 3 days of the qualifying rounds, and really made it difficult for the top guns.
Southby scores first, so inside the first minute, first to Victoria.
Queensland will worry because they had holes in the defence, young players coming through, but it's those young players that have really lifted Queensland's performance.
4 minutes gone. The Vicks by 1 as Clark looks for an option, and she's caught with a held ball. So there's the first turnover, and Victoria will now look to put a break between themselves and Queensland. Southby to O'Donnell.
At this level, in this match, it's crucial that if you can establish your turnover, you really make the other team pay. Arnott releases the pressure and gives Queensland back the opportunity to equalise.
Felix Saunders.
Howie Strong threw in onto the ball, and she's one of the players, Steve, that has been earmarked as possibly making the step up into the national team.
Bit of a bolter.
Well, Marianne McCormick unavailable for selection this year. She'll be going overseas with her husband. That leaves a mid-court vacancy, and Howie, captain of the World Youth Cup side that came back victorious from Canada, is certainly one of the contenders.
Wilson goals. Contests are getting a little tighter now, Anne.
Oh, it's pretty physical on court, and there's a lot of speed early on in this match. Victoria with the ability to run a very fast game. And quick hands, they're also a feature of their game. Arnott delivering well to Southby. Watch here, Howie Strong delivers to Southby, and the double play, Arnott to Southby, gives Southby a close range shot.
It's with Tollenaire. And they needed that goal. They'd been stuck on 6 for a while. Howie, well, Felix got a hand to it, and that was enough.
Felix is very solid at the back for Queensland, and there's, of course, a very tenacious, enthusiastic young line across their defence transverse in Matthews and Saunders.
Wilson positions well for the shot. That's a good one, a timely one for Queensland. Pretty good position for Victoria as they start the second quarter. 11 goal leaders over Queensland, and already you'd have to write them in the book for the final. Let's see what they do with the next 3 quarters there. Looking to run in some form and maybe give some players a rest later in the match.
Southby opening the second quarter in very comfortable fashion. There'll be no question over her shooting ability.
McInnes. Clark first to it for Queensland. Abbott was on the chase as well. Now it's Wilson.
Clark's recovered well from the ankle injury she called. She's obviously had a bit of work in the break. Straight pass from Bruce.
Yeah, misunderstanding between Tracy Bruce and Tollenaire. O'Donnell. Howie. On it. Southby.
Breaking, goal defence.
Not much movement off the Queensland attacking line. Belatedly, Bruce offers. Wilson deep down trying to offer something to rejig the forwards, but Victoria's defenders, Steve, now really coming into a league of their own.
Oh, Taverner and Lynch are something special, aren't they? What a lucky coach is Jill McIntosh to have those at her disposal, along with Liz Ellis.
And as we just mentioned, they're playing so much together that they really just have an intuition about each other's reaction. So often you have to blend players from different states in your national side, and that's just a natural background she could put out and not worry about.
Heard that Tanya Cox has been invited back into the New Zealand squad. Part of the Wall of Death, as Waitamana used to be known as. We might see Tanya Cox back in Australia later this year in November for that one-off test.
I don't think that'll put too much fear into the minds of the Aussie shooters. I think their ground skills and their movement skills might balance out her height. Oh, Queensland held up, nowhere to go.
Bruce is stuck in the centre third. And the turnover is squeezed out. Taverner to Lynch and McInnes. Lynch running pretty freely then.
Yeah, that would have tested her out. It was quite a strong landing from her. So perhaps a bit of mobilisation in the break, and she'll be right. No pressure there. O'Donnell just free to release the circle. A lot of space there for Victoria.
Barney's contacting wing defender.
Everything going right for Victoria.
Howie. Just playing with Queensland at the moment, but it comes undone. Clark releases it for Bruce. Tollenaire. And well, it was looking good until it didn't anymore.
How frustrating for Vicky Wilson to find that it's blocked well before it can get to her. In the last few attacking plays for Queensland, have seen it come undone at the top of the circle due to the pressure of Victoria's defence, both inside the circle and outside from McInnes and O'Donnell. Southby going for the stats of the championships. Just one miss for 29 goals.
So 43-16. McInnes, O'Donnell. Southby, Howie, Bryant. Has contact against Matthews. And Bryant puts one in. She's 1-1. O'Donnell, Southby. Not quite.
And Steve, it's not just the shooting that's and lack of possession that's killing Queensland, but a quick glance at penalties shows 31 against Queensland and just 7 against Victoria. Naturally, the load of those against the Queensland circle players in their defence, but that's a natural outcome in this game.
Taverner looks at her empty hands, then looks at Janelle Derrington, the umpire, and gets no help from the whistle. Lynch helps out, creates the turnover. O'Donnell. Felix ends up with it. Not for long. Howie snatches it out of the air. Taverner. O'Donnell gets rid of Tollenaire.
Tollenaire with no time to get out of the way if she'd wanted to. Oh, good work from Matthews, through and onto the ball. A bit of life left in the Queensland defence. Out of Wilson's hands then.
Howie, McInnes. Bryant.
That was good positioning from Felix. She had front position, got inside the line of the ball, and Southby pushing off according to Jan Cross. Southby shakes her head in denial. Southby with 39 goals from 41 attempts, and it's less than a minute left on the clock until three-quarter time, and Queensland might well wish it was full time.
As Tracy Bruce nearly cleans up Jan Cross on the far side. Umpire and player are okay. McInnes, O'Donnell. Southby turns away. Bryant, Southby. Post gets a good nudge. And Southby hits the moving target. Well, the story of the match was that Queensland did stick with Victoria quite encouragingly through the first 5 or 6 minutes as they went goal for goal, and then Victoria just ran away with it. It was 20-9 at quarter time, 41-16 at half time, 57-20 at three-quarter time. And there was only 8 between them when they played earlier in the week. 8 minutes to go, 63-25. So who will Victoria meet in tomorrow's final? Well, it'll be South Australia or New South Wales. Southby.
Queensland flat-footed in defence, simply content to sit back and defend the shot rather than get out on the first ball. Van der Waal tries to be cheeky and offload in the air, but out of court, says Jan Cross. And Victoria hunting for their 65th goal.
Queensland, midway.
Well, Bryant was trying to be unselfish, but it came unstuck. Southby can't handle. So Queensland possession. Felix not in a hurry to get it.
Midway, keep it the other side.
Nell Darrington
Play.
sets the mark. Lisa Clark. Matthews Clark. Under 7 minutes left in the match.
Well, Tolinair available. I was just wondering if Clark picked it up. She just bought a bit of space behind Taverner. And while she wasn't within absolute close range, it was close enough.
Tolinair's found herself open a couple of times on the baseline. Freer than she was in the first three quarters.
Contact, keeper, shuttle pass. Goal advantage, instructions,
Because she was playing goal attack through the first three quarters of the match.
Oh, nice play onto Bryant from Southby.
Queensland.
Lisa Alexander calling for one last effort. She's got to be well pleased. She's got the big win. She's got the team into the final. She's rested Shelley O'Donnell in the later part of the match and given Jocelyn Bryant a half match. So all the shooters have had a look. Well, not all of them, but the ones she might expect to have to use in the final. She's got Diana Croato up her sleeve as well. Timekeeper gets up. It's going to end the agony for Queensland. Really only in it for the first 6 or 7 minutes.
Queensland throw in this side.
And that's all they'll be. Well, just much too good today.
With me is Victorian skipper Simone McInnes, and all smiles again, Simone. That really was a superb performance from the Victorians.
It was good action. It felt as good as it's felt all week. I think we're really starting to come in and hit our top form. The ball work was really sharp and the hands were strong, so it's great form to be going into the grand final.
Just a tremendous contrast to your first round match against Queensland. That was a really tight game. Granted, you had a different starting lineup, but is it as much that Queensland have fallen away, or you've really hit your rhythm?
It's probably a combination of both. Certainly Queensland have had some just tough matches day after day after day, but I think we've certainly improved on our form earlier in the week, and I mean, it's a good time to be improving on your form.
Your side has to really be envied, not only for its depth, but for the youth in the line. The understanding is great, given how young the players are.
Well, certainly that with the basis of the team from the Melbourne Waverley Pumas, there's been a lot of work as far as combinations in certain areas, and that helps. But, I mean, it's a really great team as a unit. Everybody gets on really well, and the communication out on court is excellent. I mean, and that really helps when it comes to the tight situations.
Well, of course, that one wasn't just a win. It was for a place in the 1996 final and the chance to defend a title. Does that make you feel a little different going into a match, knowing that you're the ones now that they want to beat?
Well, certainly last year we were going into the match. I don't think many expected Victoria to get into the final, and we had nothing to lose. This year, you know, we've got the title to lose. I mean, we are the team to beat. So, but we have every confidence that we are capable of going back-to-back for the national titles, and every intention of going out there and doing it.
Yes, it was a pretty complete performance from Victoria, one that obviously pleased Simone McInnes, and they don't leave a lot of room for criticism.
No, absolutely not. It's a very balanced lineup with a great understanding, and it's a natural combination, mainly from their club base in Melbourne Puma. They're able to string a lot of those players together. They've enjoyed a lot of success in 1996 with National League honours earlier in the year, and a lot of Australian honours for their players. So there's a good feeling in the camp, and it's a very smooth running outfit.
Well, our second semi-final was between South Australia and New South Wales. Everyone anticipating a close match. After all, there'd only been one goal in it when they played earlier in the week, but things don't always turn out the way we expect. Underway, and Audine Cobb and gets a quick early touch. South Australia running left to right in the red. New South Wales in their familiar sky blue, and this match under the control of two of our most experienced umpires in Maureen Boyle on this side and Nola Calnan on the far side. Maureen Boyle there under the goalpost.
Very confident start from young Jackie Delaney to put to South Australia's first goal on the board.
Advantage, break wing.
And disappointing, Steve, for New South Wales to have their skipper on the sideline ill. She's had a fine in the championship so far during the week. What it has done, though, is free Marianne McCormick from wing defence back into the forward line. So the forward line's still strong.
Well, it's allowed Marianne McCormick to play in a position she prefers. They've ended up playing her at wing defence much
Out
of
of
the week.
necessity, that's true. The problem for New South Wales has been that Julie Harrison is more suited to goalkeeper, perhaps, than goal defence. Liz Ellis is a true keeper and doesn't really run the full game at goal defence, so they're going to have to sort that out. And you might well see at half-time Ellis come forward to goal defence and Julie Harrison move back to keeper.
Great start, South Australia. And this rejigged New South Wales line may take the best part of a quarter to settle in. They'll hope not. Cusack, who would be the first to admit that she hasn't been in her best form this week, I think, but a good steadier for her. New South Wales trailing by 5. No Sue Kenny to steer the ship.
Advantage, contact, wing defence. Contact, goal defenders.
Carissa Dalwood, these days, of course, the vice-captain of the Australian side and more than capable of stepping up to the team leadership responsibilities, but another turnover. Away they come, Harvey.
Well, the problem for New South Wales becomes if it's the middle they want to rejig, the options start to shut down. You've got Anderson and Morgan on the side. Morgan, quite obviously, is restricted to goal shooter responsibilities. Anderson is such a beautiful mover. She could well cover mid-court if you wanted her to. But if Kenny is unable to take the court because of the fever situation, they've immediately shut down options if they get desperate or if an injury hits them.
So it's 12-5 South Australia, but New South Wales in possession. Dalwood out to McCormick, Cusack.
Cox trying to find some space for herself and frustrated the ball wasn't released then from the feeders. Sutter doing a great job on her. The back up there from Cobb deep down on the transverse line. Well, it's a hungry South Australian side.
New South Wales was forced to retreat. They went for the long pass. Ellis tries to make up for it.
But again, New South Wales flat-footed, and Ellis has seen some great work come undone. Another good one from the New South Wales keeper to force the toss between Borlase and herself.
Borlase too quick. Delaney. Ellis's rebound. Dalwood. Williams. Cusack to Cox.
Again, Sutter blocks access to Catherine Cox. She's done a fine job.
Well, Cox stopped on the run.
It's true. I think she might have been considering the drop back to the post. She's certainly got to suss out some options because the forward moves have been denied by Sutter. Elbow goes in then from Cox as Harvey reads it well for South Australia.
Well, the circle defenders are having a great time out there.
Delaney
making the intercepts.
with a fine drive to the post then out of nowhere. She's just got the stutters in goals on the last two approaches.
Score still 12-5, 3.5 minutes left first quarter.
That ball taking net as it crossed court to Sanders, but Delaney first on court to regather. She was the furthest from the ball.
South Wales has scored the first 2.
Sutter out looking, robs McCormick of the opportunity, and she had possession. McCormick is out. Sutter's opened in great form for this match. Watch McCormick there, just in a little late. Sutter was out with good position, good timing.
Yeah, that's a great call from Boyle because McCormick came away from the contest with the ball in her hand, but that replay shows that Sutter was fractionally there first.
Fine judgment by Maureen Boyle. That's why she's on this match. Has great control, very good vision, and a wonderful temperament, and the players respect her as the best in the business.
Cobb has it for South Australia. Delaney.
The dodge there from Borlase on the base frees her from Julie Harrison.
Advantage contact keeper. Play.
Sutter for South Australia. Harvey.
A lot of space through the mid-court for South Australia.
Oh, and Cusack just with a little sleight of hand comes away with it. McCormick. Dalwood. They need to change things somehow. That's not the way to do it as Harvey returns the favour.
Harvey did well to get her head turned onto the ball then. She was trying to watch the body positioning of the New South Wales shooters, and she turned just in time to stay open to it as Ellis replies at the other end of the court.
And Cusack has it in a flash. Got to regather, really. McCormick.
Both teams having little difficulty getting the ball through the mid-third. It's really quite open there. It's around the defence ends, around the circles if there's a lot of body. Cusack with a settler for New South. Too much on it. Cusack with 6 shots and 3 misses.
Well, Cobb saw McCormick coming, stopped, and the ball bounced out of her hands, but no damage as South Australia continue to press forward. Cobb.
Steve, it'll be interesting to see if Ellis can sustain her effort for another 3 quarters. I mean, this one inclusive.
And we've got 7:50 left in the second quarter. Delaney, Sanders, Borlase.
Again, Borlase able to work the blind side of Harrison.
What a great combination South Australia have produced here with Borlase and Delaney. Their work is so quick. Delaney's quite an athlete.
Delaney, a superb athlete for South Australia, and just as importantly, she's on target for them. Borlase with 90% to date in the match, 10 from 11. Delaney doing a lot of work, as you said, a lot of the speed work and the ball work, but also 13 from 18. Puts her with a good stat on the board.
So Cobb finds Borlase once more.
Oh, too much close marking on Delaney leaves the South Australian captain home alone. And South Australia have doubled New South Wales' score. 24 leads 12.
Well, they're pretty fired up. South Australia still looking for that elusive open title. Ellis. With some help from Cusack. Cox. Ball's been down this end of the court seemingly so rarely this quarter. Only scored 4 goals in nearly 9 minutes. Not a lot going wrong for Borlase and Delaney, and they're just having a whale of a game for South Australia. On their way to the final, you'd have to guess, unless New South Wales can turn things around dramatically. Morgan.
Well, immediately Cusack puts a signal out that she's going to use the high approach to Joe Morgan, irrespective. Sutter has ample height and a good jump. First couple haven't been exactly picture perfect, and an unusual miss from Morgan, who's been on target the last few days. Borlase again finding the space under the post on Harrison.
Morgan coming in at 189 centimetres and Sutter at 183. At the other end with New South Wales possession. Julie Harrison to take it. Cormac at wing defence now, where she's ended up playing most of the week, but not most of her career.
Well, Anderson and Dalwood misunderstanding in the middle on who was going to put the drive through. And that's hard for New South. You know, Dalwood and Anderson would have very little understanding of each other, so it's ahead of them to forge a combination. And the last 3 have come undone for New South, so they're just taking a time to settle in the new forward line.
South Australia won the second quarter 19-9. And they're 7-5 at the moment in the third. And we're halfway through the third quarter. Dalwood over the top looking for Morgan.
Hard to recover from 2 quarters that really were damaging. 15-8 the first quarter and 19-9 in the second. I mean, that's a real impetus from South Australia.
Delaney back out to Sanders.
They were looking for Borlase, who opened a little early. Now she has it. Oh, Delaney up, mixing it with Ellis. Almost threw her and over the top, and Ellis not happy about that.
So she challenges Borlase illegally. And it's number 42 dropping through for South Australia. A couple of minutes gone in the last quarter, and 49-32 South Australia. Have to do an awful lot wrong from here to lose it, and Avellino working with her Garvel teammate Borlase.
I think South Australia has just taken the pressure off as much as New South Wales made better ground in the third quarter. I think it was a case of South Australia just settling in and conceding a little. The win seemed to be in hand.
Well, they still won the quarter. 13-12, but yeah, point taken. Having lost the quarter before 19-9, it was something of a comeback by New South Wales.
Oh, good work from Avellino to find the space under the post on a baseline move.
The result, well, pretty much a foregone conclusion, as Morgan wins the contest and takes another goal from Sutter. Not too much love lost there between the goalkeeper and
that
goal
was
shooter.
Morgan's 20th for the match. To see the high ball then wasn't that well placed, but Morgan up strong to take.
Play.
South
Grant.
Australia just doing enough to keep things going, really. I think it's conservation of energy now for them. Oh, too much Cusack to Anderson, which was never going to be able to haul that one in and stay alive.
Can you make any kind of a prediction except perhaps a close match between South Australia and Victoria, Anne?
No, I thought Victoria have all week probably deserved favouritism and continued with the consistency of form. I think it'll go down to the wire.
Well, it went down to extra time when they played earlier in the week. South Australia the winner on that occasion. But Victoria winners last year, and so they'll be looking to defend the title.
Yeah, just two the difference in it last year. McCormack takes out Borlase.
Oh, right out there.
And if memory serves me right, South Australia faltering under the pressure in the final moments of that game, missing some scoring opportunities. You couldn't put fault with their defenders who came all match. Chance to remedy it when they play Victoria again in 1996.
And the agony ended for New South Wales. They really were never in this match. South Australia, brilliant. And through 4 quarters, didn't matter what changes New South Wales tried to make, it was never going to unsettle this South Australian lineup. So once more they'll line up, looking for that open title in 1996.
With me, South Australia's captain Jenny Borlase, all smiles as you would expect after a very comprehensive victory.
Yes, we were pleased with the win, and we certainly didn't come out here expecting to win by that much, but it was pleasing to do so, particularly when we know we're going to have an incredibly hard game against Victoria tomorrow.
Very strong opening quarter, but you backed it up with the second quarter, 19-9. That really caused the damage for New South. Very hard to recover from there.
Yes, we realised that, you know, we couldn't just make it a 1 or 2 goal margin because New South would keep coming back, so we did have to extend that lead out, and I felt that the girls did that really well.
In your credit, the defenders were very strong in shutting down a lot of opportunities for New South.
Yes, Pete Squire's been having a fantastic tournament, only quite a young player, but she's combined incredibly well with Harvey and Sutter, who are the more experienced players in our team. And I think all the way down the court we were able to put a lot of defensive pressure on, which really helped those girls out, and that's certainly something that we'll be working on hard.
Well, plenty of positives there.